All right, today I want to talk to you about being off-road but being on track. The whole idea of tonight's lesson is that you develop character through trials. I don't know about you guys, I love you're having a good day, the sun's shining, you wake up in the morning, birds are chirping, nice sunshine, it's 75 degrees, you don't need a coat. You walk out the door and there's a $5 bill somebody accidentally left down there for you as soon as you walk out your door. You get to school, your professor says, you know what, class is canceled today, you know what, no homework for the week, we're all set. You get home and your mom makes you your favorite dinner, and it's like the best dinner ever. You get done and your friend comes by and wants to play, all that kind of stuff, like the perfect day. All of these things are lined up and you just love those days. Now, let me tell you, in those days, you don't learn a whole lot. But in those days, the times where you are in the valleys, the times you're going through trials, those are the times that you're going to learn the most lessons in life. So I submit to you today that character is not developed on those good days, but on those days where you're going through trials and valleys. Let me read you a couple verses before we get to Genesis chapter 41. We're going to look at Joseph. There are three people that I'm going to show you that God uses hardships to develop character and leadership tools. Number one, the first guy is Joseph. All right, Joseph was a guy. Now, he was one of 12 brothers. He's one of the younger ones, so he's not the most popular, not the best looking. He's this guy, and what makes it even worse, he's Dad's favorite. Everybody have one of those little brothers? I had one. Dad's favorite is always what the heck, what is this guy doing? And it always makes the rest of the brothers not like him as much. Now, on top of that, I'm going to show you a little bit of Joseph when he was younger. In Genesis chapter 37, he says this, and Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. Now, he's a young guy, hadn't matured, hadn't gone through a whole lot of trials yet, and he gets this dream. And this dream is basically this: listen, hey, big brothers, yeah, you guys up there, I want you to look down at me. Eventually, you guys are going to bow down before me. Now, little brothers, just telling you up front, you have one of those dreams, keep it to yourself. All right? Don't tell your big brothers, because if my little brother had told me that, probably would have knocked him out too. All right? So they got this guy, little brother, they do not like him. He goes through, long story short, they want to kill him. They go to kill him. They can't kill him because they get money, and they say, all right, we'll sell this guy. And so they sell him into slavery. Now, look down in Genesis chapter 41, and we're going to look at verses 37 through 40. Now, think through this. You are Joseph. This is not your best day. Your mom did not make your favorite meal. You did not find a $5 bill. Everything is going wrong. If you knew this was coming up, you'd say, I do not want this life. But we're going to see here all the trials he goes through. He gets sold into slavery. He shows up as a slave, and he works his way into a powerful position, and then he gets falsely accused, and he gets thrown into prison. You're like, what else could go wrong in this guy's life? And as the end result, we're going to see in Genesis chapter 34, verse number 37 says this, and the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a one as this, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? You know what he said? At the end of all this, he took Joseph and moved him into the second most powerful position. Now Pharaoh said, can we find another guy like this? We want to take Joseph and we want to clone him. We want as many Josephs as possible. We want them all around because he was that important to Pharaoh. Because he had gone through those trials, and in those trials he found out that God used him in a great way. So Genesis chapter 41, we see that. The second person we see, we're going to see Job. You all know the story of Job. But imagine this, Job chapter 1, verse number 13. And there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house, and there came a messenger unto Job. So, Job is this guy, and he's got some problems coming up. Job is sitting there, and his kids are all hanging out together, and all of a sudden, somebody comes up to him. All right, so, I was with with all your cattle, with all your oxen, we were over there, and you know what, these guys with swords came and just killed all of your cattle. Now, back in the day, your cattle was your whole well-being. That's like somebody's going in and saying, to here your bank account. Everything you have invested is in these animals back then. And because of that, everything that his wealth, everything is gone. Now, to me, that's a bad day. You know, if the $100 in my bank account goes, you know, not a big deal. But he had a lot of cattle. Lost everything. Then, while he was yet speaking, somebody came up, and the Chaldeans came out 3 bands and fell upon all the camels, and have carried them away, and have slain the servants by the edge of the sword. You know, he comes up and says, oh yeah, next guy comes up, listen, I'm the only one that got away, but all your camels, all of your servants were all just killed. All right, he's in trouble now. Now, you think this day could not get worse. And while he's yet speaking, somebody comes up and says to him this, thy sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. Behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are all dead. Only I am escaped to tell thee. You look at Job's life. You look at Job's 40 seconds right there. Those are enough trials for a lifetime brought down on him in about 40 seconds. He went through a tough time. Now, through all that, I want to read you this verse. Right at the end of that. That was verse number 19, when everybody had died. Verse number 20 says this, then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped. Now, I don't know about you, but my natural reaction when I hear bad news is not, man, praise God. That's not my normal news. That's not my normal reaction when I get bad news. I'm telling you, Job developed character through these hard times. Look over the next chapter. In chapter 2, it says this, Job 2, verse 10. And he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speakest. What? Shall we receive good by the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? In all this, did not Job sin with his lips? He goes through these trials. I don't know about you, but on bad days, my bad side comes out. Maybe you guys are much better than me, but that's when the bad side comes out. But Job went through a rough time. At the end of it, he sinned not with his lips. Through all of that, he continued to serve the Lord. So you see Job, and another verse in Job that describes him is this, Job chapter 1, verse 1. And there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And the man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. And God describes him there and says, listen, this guy is perfect. This guy had developed character through his hard times. Now, there's one last person we want to talk about. This person is not like as cool as Job, didn't go through as many trials as Joseph, didn't get sold into slavery. Nobody wrote any books about him yet. This guy's name is me. Ryan Grigg. Now, again, I'm no Job, I'm no Joseph, but the character that God has developed in me has been through some hard things. When I was 10 years old, I found out I went to the doctor going through some medical troubles, and the doctor told me I had diabetes. Now, diabetes stinks. You got to give shots. Like, I give 5 shots a day. I hate shots. You stick a needle in you. Never fun. Don't recommend it. 5 times a day. When I was 10 years old, now I love sweets. I was 10 years old, they told me you can't eat sugar anymore. I'm like, I might as well die. No more sugar. I'm like, so I'm going to eat like sugar-free brownies and stuff. It's like cardboard, painted brown. It's awful. These are some rough things. I'm like, God, why would you put diabetes in my life? I have no idea. Just a small trial I went through. A couple years later, I'm in college. I'm about 25 years old. I get a call in the middle of the night. Middle of the night calls are never good. Middle of the night, I found out that my little brother dies. Now, I look at that and say, why in the world would something like that happen? You hear the question all the time, why do bad things happen to good people? Why do the righteous suffer? You hear these things all the time. 1 year after that, I was working at a summer camp. And at that summer camp, I had no idea why I went through these trials. I met this kid. His name is Tony. Tony was 8 years old, blonde-haired, freckled kid. Found out he had diabetes. Found out he had just lost his father. I was able to minister to that kid that day. And if for one day, God used those trials in my life to help me minister to one kid. I don't know why I went through those things. To me, I wouldn't have recommended them. I didn't want them. But God used those times to work in my life, to allow me to have the opportunity to minister and help out a young kid that went through some of the same things that I had gone through. So to wrap this all up, Genesis chapter 50, verse 20. He gets to the end of his life, and Joseph said, as for you, you thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good. Through trials, you can do two things. You can either get bitter, you can get upset, or you can get better. Whatever things you're going through, whatever trials are in your life, God wants to work through and develop character in your life.